You're about to discover 3 massive mistakes even smart women make that keep them overstressed, unhappy, and unhealthy. More importantly, I'll show you why even the smartest women make these mistakes in the first place. I'll also reveal the true cause of stress, and I'll share what you can do about it, how to eliminate the things you don't want and start attracting what you do want with grace and ease. Welcome back. My name is Cheryl Stanton, and this is video number 3 in a 4-part series. And it's designed to help you reduce your stress, improve your health, and increase your happiness. In this video, I'll concentrate on the number 1 biggest mistake even smart women make. This mistake is the most crucial, by far the most common, and the most costly. And however, the good news is that once you correct this mistake, you'll take a giant leap forward to being more calm, more confident, and more in control of your life. So grab your pen because you're going to want to write this information down. The number 1 biggest mistake is what I call looking for help in all the wrong places. So go ahead and write that down. Looking for help in all the wrong places. There are lots of different ways of looking for help in all the wrong places. The first way is to numb the pain with a variety of addictions. You know what they are. Some common addictions are smoking, drinking, drugs, both illegal and legal, excessive spending, gambling, internet addictions, etc. The drug of choice for many women is food. Many of us, when stress gets high, start to use food to soothe our emotions. This is commonly known as emotional eating. I was an emotional eater myself, and 2 years ago I weighed 50 pounds more than I do now. Unfortunately, none of these addictions solve the original problem. The addictive behavior may temporarily relieve the stress or the pain, but sooner rather than later, you'll end up feeling bad again. Then, without a healthy way to cope, you turn back to your addiction to feel better. I'm sure you've heard of the yo-yo dieting syndrome. This happens when women eat to soothe their emotions. Then they realize what they've been doing, usually because of the excess weight they've gained. So they muster up enough willpower and discipline to get the weight off. Unfortunately, they haven't resolved the underlying emotional issue that caused them to eat in the first place. So after a short while and a little stress, they start eating again and gain the weight back. So the same thing happens with smoking. What is one of the most common things you see when someone quits smoking? They gain weight. They were using smoking to handle their emotional stress, and when they quit, they don't have the source of relief, so they then turn to food. In both cases, the individual has an underlying emotional issue that is going unresolved. And on top of that, they are now dealing with the complications caused by whatever addiction they've been using to feel better. Instead of reducing their pain, they're just adding another layer of pain. The best way to get rid of addiction is to eliminate the underlying emotional problem that's causing the addictive behavior in the first place. When the underlying source of the pain is eliminated, you don't need to try to relieve it with an addiction. A second way that people look for help in all the wrong places is that they bury it. Now I want to imagine that you're holding a big beach ball in your hands. Have you ever tried to submerge a beach ball in the water? You can do it. It takes effort and energy to get it under, and it takes more effort and energy to keep it under. But eventually, it's going to come popping back up to the surface. The same thing is true for us when we bury our problems. Eventually, they will come out, usually in bigger and uglier ways, often in health problems. According to the World Health Organization, 85 to 90% of all illnesses, pain, and injuries have an emotional basis. Now that doesn't mean it's not real. It is very real. It just means that there's an emotional cause for most illnesses. If we can eliminate the emotional cause of the illness, Often the body will heal itself. We were created to heal. When we cut our finger, we don't tell it to heal. It heals automatically, unless something is interfering. And a third way that many people look for help in all the wrong places is that they talk about their problems. They talk to their friends, family, therapists, and support groups. This strategy is not necessarily bad. In fact, talking can be very helpful. However, you have to be careful what you are talking about. Verbal expression or talking involves accessing information from the conscious mind. The underlying emotional cause to any pain you experience doesn't lie in the conscious mind. So talking about your problems may allow you to access a surface level of information, but it won't get you to the root of the issue. All that information is stored in the subconscious or below conscious mind. Another disadvantage of talking about your problems is that you're not just remembering, you are reliving them and reinforcing energetically in your mind that this is the way things are supposed to be. So the more you talk about your problems, the more you stay stuck in your problems. Mother Teresa said that she would never go to a war rally, but if you had a peace rally, she would go to that. What you focus on, you get more of. A war rally focuses on war. A peace rally focuses on peace. Talking about your problems keeps you focused on your problems. So one of the keys to looking for help in the right places is to only focus your attention on the solution, not the problem. Never talk about the problem again. Only talk about the solutions. When you focus your attention on solutions, you will literally be constantly scanning your environment for solutions. And guess what? You'll find one. Another way people look for help in all the wrong places is that they blindly trust their doctors. Many of us look for help by going to see a medical doctor. We believe that what they tell us is true, and we accept whatever we're told to do. I am not against doctors. I am a nurse. I'm part of and have been trained in the Western medical system. If I have a broken leg or a medical problem, of course I'm going to go see my doctor. But I have been a registered nurse for 38 years, long enough to know that doctors are not gods. And all too often, what we have, especially in North America, is what is called cookie-cutter medicine. You usually only spend about 5 minutes with your doctor, and most of the time when you leave, you have a prescription for a drug. In North America alone, more people die from prescription drug abuse than die from automobile accidents. Most people don't even know what drugs they're taking or why they're taking them. They're just doing it because their doctor told them to. Western medicine thinks of the body as a bag of body parts and chemicals, so the treatment of choice is usually either drugs or surgery. They're treating the symptom, not the cause. And that is why Western medicine is so often ineffective. Our body is really just a TV set for what is going on in our heart, mind, and spirit. In other words, your body is a TV set for what's going on in your subconscious mind. If you have a pain or an illness, your subconscious mind is screaming at you through the only medium it has, your physical body. It's trying to tell you to pay attention, that there is a problem that needs to be fixed. Unfortunately, in our culture, we don't listen to our bodies. We're the Energizer bunnies. We take a licking and keep on ticking. We take a pill and we keep on going until things get so bad we are physically forced to stop. We have to stop depending on Western medicine to fix us and realize that we have to take responsibility for our own health. You now know the #1 biggest mistake even smart women make that keep them overstressed, unhappy, and unhealthy. They look for help in all the wrong places. Remember though, this is video 3 in a 4-part video series. If you haven't watched video 1 or 2 in this series, you have access to them right here on this page. I highly recommend that you watch them. In the second video, I share all about the third and second biggest mistakes smart women make that keep them overstressed, unhappy, and unhealthy. I talk about the sponge syndrome, for example, which refers to women taking on the responsibility of trying to solve other people's problems. I also talk about how women often give away their power, which means that other people control them. They do this by playing the blame game, where they blame other people or circumstances for their problems, or they spend all their time dreaming about the future or remembering the past. I also give some practical tips on how to get out of the sponge syndrome and the blame game and to take back their power. Let's turn our attention to something I've been talking about on all 3 videos, the underlying cause of most problems. In other words, where did most of them come from? Where did they originally start? Think about a small baby or a toddler. Babies are cheerful, happy, loving, positive, courageous, fearless, and confident. We were all like that when we were that age. But something happens along the way that causes us to change. We have what I call emotional mud put on our beautiful spirits. If we came from an abusive environment, some of us had that emotional mud dumped on. If we came from homes where our parents cared and were doing their best, we had the emotional mud dripped on. But the truth is, we were all raised by imperfect people who were doing the best they could while dealing with their own stuff along the way. And no matter what kind of history we've had, each one of us has some of this emotional mud on our spirits. You see, small children don't see their parents as separate from themselves. They don't see that their parents are worried or tired or not feeling well. All they see is that their parent, who is God to them at that age, is unhappy or angry. And they interpret this as being their fault. They form a belief that they're bad, stupid, not good enough, not deserving of good things. They don't deserve to be treated well, etc. That emotional mud then becomes their belief system that they have to be true to, no matter how damaging it is to them. They send out the energetic message to the universe that this is how they are to be treated. And for the rest of their life, they unconsciously attract situations and people into their lives that validate their negative belief system. And the only way out of this cycle is to wash away the emotional mud. So how do you get rid of that emotional mud? How do you get it off? First, you need to find out where that mud is stored. And you need a methodology to access that place and clear it. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do this on the next video. If you signed up for this email series, watch your inbox very carefully because the next video series is going to be coming out shortly. If you came across this video through Facebook or YouTube or someone forwarded it to you, what you want to do is look directly below this video. You'll see there's a place to put your first name and your email address in. Go ahead and do that as soon as this video finishes. Put your first name and email address in the box below. That will ensure that you get the next video in the series and that you get to find out how to clear your emotional mud. There's also a place for you to leave a comment or ask a question. Please share about the #1 stress that you are facing in your life right now. I'll be checking the messages daily and promise to respond and offer any support I can. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, I wish you all the health and happiness you can handle.